Back with John Specs, that means she's in the house.
Did she behave herself?
Yeah.
Please tell me she behaved herself.
B plus, B plus.
Oh, well, you know, it's a work in progress.
All right, so let's quit the lollygagging and the serial killer set her up and get on to what y'all sons and daughters of lovely people came to see.
Indeed. And in fact, we have another lovely act for you. Coming up right now, BCDC, performing another musical love story. Oh, they look so sweet too.
Give him a hand, folks, come on. That means we're not on stage anymore. Come on.
Oh. Hello. Thank you everyone for coming out to the show. We're Beezy and Beezy. I'm Beezy Douglas.
And I'm Deb Zepp, DZ, Beezy and DZ.
There's stories behind those nicknames, but you know we don't got all night. There's a lot of show to come. So we're musicians, not professionally or anything yet, but we get out and play smaller and mediumer gigs like this big show here, and try and entertain people whenever we can. So Deb wrote this song recently about how we met and fell in love in New York City, and we've always made people go, "Aww," when we tell them our story of how we met. So we thought we'd play this song and some of the other songs that brought us together and share a bit of our story with you.
I fell in love with the hats on your wall. Didn't know how far I'd fall. No windows and life scattered on your floor. Who knew my heart wanted nothing more? I really did fall in love with the hats on his wall. He had these fedoras and other, I guess, cool guy hats hanging on the wall of his place. I remember looking up at those hats and thinking, the kind of guy who wears these hats is the kind of guy I could see myself with. Which, you know, is silly. But I looked up at those hats and I just felt good about where I was at that moment and who I was with. That feeling even made the rest of his place endearing. It was a very man cave. It was this dingy gray room in a Brooklyn warehouse apartment with like no windows and
All right. We don't need to get into how disgusting I was living as a bachelor. Yeah. Besides, we're jumping in too far ahead. I think we should go back to the night I first met you at Lucky Jack's open mic. And actually, I want to go back a little bit further than that, just for some context. In February of 2009, I separated from my wife of 2 years after discovering she had been cheating on me. That's another story. But I was about 30 at the time, and for the entirety of my adolescent and adult life, I'd always prioritized finding and maintaining a relationship. You know, it's like this little achievement checkbox that just had to be checked off in order for me to be happy, I felt. And so when my marriage ended, I was finally just free of that. And it was the first time in my life when I was ready to be alone and prioritize a relationship with myself. So I ended up going out to open mics, and they became this path of self-discovery for me. And actually I went in trying to be a stand-up comic, and I came out a musician. So anyway, there was this one mic, Lucky Jack's, down the Lower East Side, that I loved. It wasn't an open mic. It was a community, you know, like what you guys have at the EP Cooker, you know? And I went there damn near every week for about a year. So when someone new came in, I tended to notice, and Deb rolled in one night. She had this subtle swagger and charisma. It seemed like she knew damn near every person in the bar. And I remember noticing her and just thinking, who's that? She seems fucking cool. And then I heard her sing her song, Just Be You.
You gotta realize, you gotta realize, there may be no love in you anymore. So pack up your heart, pack up your heart. Here might not be two, it may just be you.
Yeah, so after I heard that song, I knew right away I wanted to ask her to work on this duet that I had written. Actually, with this other woman I had known from high school and reconnected with a few months prior in Pittsburgh.
That's a whole nother story. Back to me.
So I had this duet somehow called A Safe Distance, and I'd been trying it out with a couple of different vocalists, but mostly I was just singing it alone. So after her set, I walked right up to her and I asked, do you want to work on that?
That's not true. No, I walked up to you. Okay. All right, let me go back a bit. So, a friend told me about this Lower East Side open mic. I didn't know much about New York City open mics. I was new to playing guitar and new to getting out and performing anything. Singing was something I kept to myself for a long time. I love music and I'd love to sing it out in my car and karaoke. But I never thought of myself as a singer. You know, that was other people. But I taught myself enough guitar to back myself up. And I thought I'd try some open mics. So one day I went downtown after work and I brought my guitar and I went to go check out Lucky Jack's open mic. So I walk in the door, and once I walk in, I get a call from my ex-fiance, which is a whole nother story. I got a couple of good angry songs out of it, but anyway. So he calls, and he is pissed off at me because I didn't tell him about my open mic outing. You see, he decided that we had plans that night, and I wasn't a part of that decision, but somehow I was being a jerk. And just when he started to make me feel bad about going out and doing something for myself, I just stopped. And I realized he was not what I needed in my life. Making other people happy was not what I needed in my life. Music. Now, that's what I loved. That's what I needed. So I told him to go to hell. And then, partially out of spite, I stayed at that open mic all night long. I met every performer there. I took in the music, and I drank, and I schmoozed, and I even closed out the mic playing a couple songs loudly and drunkenly, but everybody cheered, and it was just the most incredible evening. So the next Lucky Jack's open mic, when you were there, I did kind of know everyone. I also heard about this guy, Beezy, who's putting on this variety show at his quasi-legal warehouse loft apartment in Bushwick, Brooklyn. All the open mic performers were going to be there. It sounded very cool, and I wanted to be a part of it. I heard the only way to get into this show, because it was a warehouse with no doorbell or anything, you had to call Beezy. So I walked straight up to you and asked you for your phone number. Who doesn't remember that? The person you want to talk to at the bar walks straight up to you, first thing asks you for your phone number. Come on. Anyway, in that conversation, he did ask me to collaborate on his duet, Safe Distance, and I did. And as I watch from the shore,
And I look back from the sea,
just don't be asking for more.
and I'll let you be the only flaw I can find. I'm paying no mind. Is the time that will buy from a safe distance. Yeah, so I don't know, about a month goes by and we're working on the song and we're hanging out when we see each other at mics. Everything's totally platonic, but I can feel myself starting to fight an attraction. And I mean, even when we rehearse, I remember we'd spend half the time working on music, half the time having conversations that I never wanted to end. You remember how you'd walk me to the subway when we were done, just so we could keep talking a little bit longer.
And then we'd stand at the top of the stairs and listen to train after train roll by.
That'll be another one. So the breaking point finally came. It was on Cinco de Mayo. A friend of mine was having a birthday at this bar down in Alphabet City, and I was standing at the bar and I see Deb roll by on her bike, and then she noticed me through the bar window from the sidewalk.
No, that's not true. I didn't see you, I saw Nate. No, Nate ran as a comic that we knew from the open mics, and I saw him through the window. And then I figured this was a party that I had heard about. I thought it might be fun, so I went in. It really had nothing to do with you.
Well, she talked to me. She talked to me all night. We were hanging out all night. We did some shots. We did a lot of shots, and we danced, and we sat down. And this part, I do remember clearly. If I don't, Deb will correct me. I was sitting across from you, and I just had to say it. I said, "Can I like you? Does it mess up the music because I like you?" And then we kissed, and then she told me, "All right, you gotta take me out on a proper first date." So the next week, that's what I did.
On the Astoria shore, this bottle of wine made my words a little too short. On the Astoria shore, where you and me became something more.
Yeah, we started out our date going to a little wine shop in Astoria, Queens. There was a friend of mine was having an art exhibit at a wine shop, and we didn't buy any of her art, but we did pick up a bottle of wine, and then we went out to dinner, and afterwards we took a walk through Astoria Park. And you can go down this hill at the edge of the park that takes you down towards the water. And there's all these big rocks you can sit on, and you can see the skyline and all the bridges lit up. It's beautiful. I mean, we sat there for hours just talking and killed that whole bottle of wine. I remember getting fairly turned on when she was venting about her career as a video editor, dealing with like compression settings. I'm a web developer. I'd never been on a date with a woman I could have tech talk with. It was hot.
Our lips met on that rock where we sat, after sharing our dreams and geeking out on video formats. And you told me you're a catch. He said that. I laughed at you, but still stuck around to see what's in there.
Well, what's next? I mean, after that first just perfect date, we were hanging out all the time. I was falling for you more every day. But then, about 2 months later, we went out to catch a movie at the Sunshine Cinema, and the whole night, I could just tell something was off. And she was acting weird, like barely talking, and I just started to think, she's losing interest in me. And suddenly, nothing made sense. I did not want to be in a relationship, but I was never so sure I was with someone I was supposed to be with, and the notion that she didn't feel the same way, it turned me upside down. And so we came out of the movie, we were walking down Houston Street, and finally I just stopped and I said, "What?" And you just looked up at me defeated and said,
I'm pregnant.
and I said, "Oh, good. I thought you were about to break up with me."
This is not the reaction that one expects when one tells someone that they've been dating for 2 months that they're pregnant.
After that, I walked her through the city for hours and I just explained it's all going to be great. And it is. It's great. Here we are. We're 8 years, 2 kids, 1 viral wedding proposal later.
Another story.
Yeah, that night was a catalyst for a journey I already knew I wanted to go on. And we were 2 people who were not looking for relationships, and we found the perfect one through music. And now we are future legends of Akron.
You still got that name wrong.
I know.
Oh,
We are legends of tomorrow.
And that day I cried on the corner of Houston Street. How could this moment lead to anything but certain defeat? No one had words for that like you. You floated me through the streets of the city like the skies could only be blue. Like on the Astoria shore. This bottle of wine made our words a little too short. On the Astoria shore, where you and me became something more.
I warned you about the awes, they were coming. So we're gonna play the whole song that that brought us together, my little duet. Safe distance, if I can squeeze a harmonica over my hat. Oh, baby, I've played this game so many times before and taken the blame for giving so much more than I can maintain. Don't look before I leave, and I can't take the strain, going back to sleep. I knew the right words and said them out loud. Show you my own hurt and lift you up to the clouds. It's so hard to say without sounding indifferent. I'll have to keep you at a safe distance.
Follows through. I look so far ahead. The sea is wide and deep, but it's moments instead we really should keep. I knew what not to say and how much not to care. The game and that fantasy that suffocates the air. So I keep my eyes wide, waiting for the tide. And don't you worry about the distance. And I look back from the sea. Just don't be asking for more. And I'll let you be. It's the only floor I can find. I don't pay it no mind. Is the time that will buy from the sea. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That was just darling, just lovely. I'm gonna wrap you two up and give you to somebody for a gift for Christmas. They'll love you.
You have to take the kids though.
Package deal.
The
Understood.
package deal.
Understood.
They're cute though, they're cute.
Understood.
That was so heartwarming that I'm gonna have to consult my doctor. And he lives in Bulgaria, and I don't currently have airfare, so thank you very much.
Oh, Uncle Willie has taken a shine to you, I can tell.
Babe, you got any questions?
I do indeed. I got a real tough one, so be prepared. Okay, so you made music together.
Mm-hmm.
Then you fell in love together.
Mm-hmm.
You made life together. What is the most important lesson that you have learned together?
Hey, find yourself and you'll find your other.
Don't focus on relationships. That's what kind of killed both of us. We wasted a lot of time. Just don't look for relationships. 'Cause once you stop looking, that's when you meet the right person.
Interesting. You see, I'm single. I'm taking notes.
I beg your pardon.
Well, maybe.
Alright, I got a question. So, safe distance. What would you consider a safe distance? 8 inches? A foot? Foot and a half? Kilometer? What is your,
A state and a half.
That's very specific. I like that.
Well, that's what it was with the person you wrote it with.
Yes.
Right, yeah. So it was a whole other story. Like we said, it's a whole thing where he wrote the song with somebody else.
Well, it was all about, we really liked each other, but she was in Pittsburgh and I was in New York, and I'm like, I'm not moving to Pittsburgh, but I like you. But that was nice what we had.
But it's such a good story. Like he wrote her like a poem, like that was like the first verse of it, and he sent it to her, and then she wrote back, and that was like the second verse. Like, yeah, it was pretty crazy. That's some great letters that were being written back and forth. I know if somebody wrote me a letter, I'd just be like, nah, I just don't have time. I live in another state. Like that's what you would have received from me.
That's what I expected. Dude, poetry?
No song would have been written from it.
Amazing. Songwriting collaboration through the states. It could take on to be a new thing.
Worked out with us.
Song pals.
Song pals.
Song pals.
There's an app.
Put that on a t-shirt.
It'll be an app soon. Just wait. Just wait.
So you guys say that's another story a lot. Is it true that if people come to multiple events where you perform, that they can get a punch card stamped for every time you say that's another story?
Yeah.
If they say it 9 to 10 times, folks, you get a free sub. Is that correct?
Yeah.
We'll work that out for the next
we'll
show.
work out the reward.
I'd like a punch card, please.
Yes.
You two are really absolutely darling. Do you have anything that you want to impart to us before you leave us?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, they ain't
Prepare any wisdom for tonight.
Yeah.
No wisdom? I mean, I did pull a little bit of wisdom out of you. So, I thank you for that.
If y'all want more wisdom, I mean, talk to them after the show. That viral
Yeah, we'll
wedding
be around.
proposal sounds like a hell of a thing. So.
Oh yeah, it's on YouTube.
Oh.
If you want to see the wedding proposal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a shelf for title on the back. We got a title on that puppy.
Occupy My
My
Life.
Life. I proposed at Occupy Wall Street.
Oh, what a cute twist. It's kind of like your name. It reminds me of AC/DC. I just want to hear you. I see BZDZ. I want to be like, yeah.
A friend of ours actually made T-shirts for when our kids.
In onesies. They
Yeah, a
made
onesie that had BZDC written like AC/DC, and yeah, so our baby wore that for a while.
Oh, that's so charming.
That's super.
So you're not the only one who thought that.
Not only was he walking around in love, but he was walking around as advertisements.
That's some touching copyright
see, that's
infringement.
thinking.
Oh.
That's thinking.
You gotta use your children for branding.
That's-
That's more advice.
Always
Yeah.
use your children for
Use your
branding.
children.
Oh, see, there was the wisdom. You didn't
That's-
even know.
yeah.
There was the wisdom.
Some horrible wisdom from us tonight.
Did you have anything else, Uncle Willie?
Oh, heartburn. That has nothing to do with anything. So,
Somebody get him a Zantax.
all right, I think our non-existent producers are telling us to move on to the next segment. So, thank you all very, very much.
Thank
We got
you.
a round of applause.
Thanks for having me.
All right, now to keep this rolling with the lovely, lovely people we have for you tonight.
We got a real outsider coming up next, right, Pale?
Indeed, indeed, he's way out there.
Real man of mystery. Newcomer to Wandering Six. Is, what's his name?
His name is Benjamin Rexroad.
Huh?
Yes, indeed. And he is going to stir your thoughts with a civic in-log to church tonight.
It's looking to re-inspire the American civic religion. I think I saw a book of that title at